Everybody, it's Carm here, coming to you on a Wednesday afternoon, and the day's confused. Yeah, felt like doing a video, and hadn't really planned this. I just grabbed a few things, just a few Narada records. For those of you who know the Narada label, started in the early 80s, kind of similar to Windham Hill, maybe a little bit lesser known. They eventually became larger. I think they were maybe bought by a larger company and expanded, but this kind of focuses on some of the earlier Narada. At the time it was 3 branches of the label. The Lotus branch, which was primarily acoustically oriented, solo piano and guitar, and later got into larger ensembles. The Equinox branch, which was more like a fusion mix of electric and acoustic, even like larger groups sometimes. And then the Mystique branch, which was the electronic synthesizer branch of the label. And so most of these I think are Lotus. And there's also some Sonagaya, which was a subsidiary of the label back at the time. So yeah, I'll just start right in. I got maybe a little over half a dozen LPs here. Let's see. David Land's Nightfall. So he's an early artist on the label. Solo piano. A lot of this stuff is kind of in the maybe impressionistic mold, like Debussy, maybe even Satie. Really pleasant stuff. It's from 1985, recorded in '84. He was a very young man. He's kind of known for his large mane of silver hair, though it was quite clean cut at the time. Yeah, very kind of pleasant, very impressionistic, a lot like the cover, solo piano. Let's see, Impressions, Gabriel Lee's solo guitar, music for guitar. Yes, solo acoustic guitar. Again, another one very much like the cover. Very impressionistic, very wintry, this one, from what I remember. This one's also from 1985, recorded in '84. What's interesting about this one is Don Slepian, the electronic synthesist, is a co-producer on here, and also plays very subtly in some of the tracks. Almost kind of a mid-range string sound. But these are very, kind of pleasant, impressionistic. Sounds like he's playing maybe a classical, or at least a nylon string guitar. But some of these I haven't listened to in quite a while, but very along similar lines. Just very, very quiet, nice background music. So you have Emerald by Spencer Brewer, Nancy Rumbel, and Eric Tingstad. This runs from 1986. Those of you who've heard of Tingstad and Rumbel, he plays acoustic guitar and she plays oboe and English horn, and joined by Spencer Brewer on keyboards. So he played piano and synthesizer, as well as there's also cello, flute, and Celtic harp on here. Again, more kind of impressionistic, almost like chamber music, very very quiet, very kind of kind of gently unfolding, very pastoral. And I really like their covers in general. Always some kind of natural scene. But yeah, I feel like the work of Tingstad and Rumbel, this is very this is one of them with some added instrumentation. But it represents the early side of the label, from this time. Another one in a similar vein. Same lineup, except instead of Spencer Brewer, it's David Lanz on keyboards. Kingsdown and Rumbel. I think Derek might have showed this a while back, and I think it was the first time I heard him refer to healthy music as opposed to new age, which is a good term. It's very appropriate. It's very consonant music as opposed to dissonant. It's very pleasant, and even it's good for the background, but it's not what you would call wallpaper music. I mean, it is good listening. This one's from 1987. and also has Louis Peralta on percussion, James Reynolds on sequencer programming. It's another one I haven't listened to in a while, but I remember enjoying this very much. And again, just like the cover. So, and all these are great for this time of year. Spring, finally in full bloom, and just goes right along with it. I think at this point too, they were getting a little more into the electric and electronic instrumentation. So this could almost be like a an Equinox recording. That branch of the label. Here's an earlier one, Michael Jones piano solos, Seascapes. This is probably my personal favorite of his. He's a Canadian piano player. I think he was originally, I want to say, practicing law or something along those lines, and he had been a lifelong student and player of the piano, and was coaxed into recording way back when. This is from 1984, January 1984, and really beautiful stuff. Unlike David Lanz, he tends to play longer pieces and really stretch out improvisationally. The title cut here is 20 minutes, 50 seconds long, Seascapes. But I remember this one, just a nice, long, drawn out. It's very much like the cover and like the theme, just very long and expansive. And he just gives himself room to stretch out. Again, more, it's improvisational and impressionistic. Sometimes there's little jazz-like phrases here and there, but I wouldn't call it jazz or classical really. He finds a nice nice medium in between the two. Let's see, another piano album. This is a example of a Sonagaya record, 1,000 Moods by Jonathan Lee. I think I showed this one other time. I actually got this in last year's record show finds with Chris, GC68. That first one we went to. It was actually from my first record show I'd ever been to. This one's from 1984, and solo piano. From what I remember, in a similar vein, I have another album by him where he does the Moonlight Sonata with very almost transparent synthesizer in the background. I need to spin this again. This might have some of that too, where the synthesizer is you barely notice it. But again, nice cover of the Seascape. Yeah, all these are really kind of in a similar vein, the Lotus ones. Oh, now we move into, this is an Equinox, example of the Equinox branch. Friedman, Indian Summer. He's a guitar player, electric and acoustic guitars. I believe he's a German fellow. I'm reminded of Gary, did a Wolfgang Donner video, and showed some stuff by Ralph Illenberger, or alluded to. He had collaborated with Donner, and this is kind of along similar lines. The kind of fusion, it's a kind of a lighter fusion guitar, impressionistic. And he has a nice band on here, including Booty Siebert on various woodwinds and percussion, and Ann Higas on voices, who I believe also played on some of the Mood Records albums, and David Arkenstone on Emulator, who I'll get to soon here. This is another one from 1987. Yeah, a lot of these are from, well, I think all of these are pretty much from the 80s. But it's probably a high point for the label in general. This is a good example of the Equinox, that kind of, that kind of lighter fusion, kind of a mix of styles and moods. And here, one of my favorites, probably one of my favorite albums on the label, and a great artist, David Arkenstone, Valley in the Clouds. I think this was his first for the label, and maybe his first album in general. And I always loved this cover, very evocative. Beautiful electronic music. This is from recorded 86, came out in 87. Very much of its time, but in a way doesn't sound of its time. The instrumentation he's using is very current for then, but it just has a certain spaciousness to it. There's a piece on here called Rain, which really does sound like rain, the way he uses the sequencer in here. Extremely melodic, very resourceful the way he uses the instrumentation, the various synthesizers. Great colors, great impressions, and yeah, this is an old favorite. I think I have this on all 3 basic formats, and have loved it for the longest time. I know my good friend Nancy out in Arizona loves this too, this particular album. But if you're curious about the Mystique side of this label and his work in general, this is a great start. As far as I know, he's still around playing today, but I haven't heard anything that's compelled me personally like this album has. And finally here, Crystal Fantasy by Michel Geneste, visionary synthesizer music. It's another Sonogaia one, from the branch of the label. I think on my very first video, I showed this and played this in the background. Kind of similar to the Arkenstone in a way, except maybe a little more ambient, a little more. How would I say? It's actually very similar to Guitaro, only I actually kind of like it better than a lot of Guitaro I've heard. The way he uses the sequencer, and he just uses color in the music. There's another one from 1984. But yeah, really beautiful stuff. Kind of lush, ambient. Great for any time of the day, but very meditative. And yeah, if you were to go back to my very first video, my intro video, I have this playing throughout. And but I'd recommend this. And there's another one called Ascension by him. But and this could almost be on the the Narada Mystique side of it. And what's playing in the background here? Carol Nathan, A View from the Bridge. This is another Mystique, where you can see the little logo there, little shell at the corner. Yeah, as far as I know, she's only made 1 album for the label. Kind of similar to Arkenstone, the way she uses, kind of paints pictures with the keyboards. And see, this one's from 1989. It's a late Narada album for what I'm showing. And there she is there. Yeah, I'll have to look into it and see if she made any more music on record. But it's a really nice album. I like this almost as much as Arkenstone and just about anything else in the label. So yeah, very pleasant stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to come on real quick, and like I said, I didn't have much planned, and I just I came across a few of these, and I thought, well, let me get them together and just show a label that I've enjoyed for a while. And again, all this stuff is, I don't know how much of it's actually in print, but you could find it used, I'm sure, on Amazon or wherever for pretty cheap, and you find them in the bins all the time. A lot of the used, the clearance section or whatever's left of the new 8 section, you could find these real cheap. So I'd recommend any of them for whether you're looking for the more if you're more of an acoustic purist, you could find the Lotus stuff, and if you're just more electronic, look for the Mystique. So hope you're all doing well, and I just wanted to come out, and it's a great day for this stuff. So well, until next time, thank you all for watching, and peace, love, and joy.